Hello, young friends. Greetings and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Group Captain A.K. Srivastava. Young friends, in our country, number 11 is considered to be very auspicious number. But what if a person, even in his 11th attempt, doesn't get recommended by the SSBs? It's a matter of great frustration. But what if in the next attempt he clears the SSB, he gets recommended? Yes, young friends, today I am going to quote an example of story of a success by one of my mentees. Call him AP. You can call his name also, declare his name also, but for the sake of maintaining the privacy on a public forum, we will call him by his initials. Let us say AP. AP was the student of my July batch. He has opted for dossier evaluation as well. On 24th of July, his conference result was out and he was recommended. He has communicated his gratitude to me. I'll share the screenshot of the conversation between AP and myself a little later. But I would like to stress on one thing. What, in your opinion, could have made the difference? Did he lack any merit, any talent, any skill before his 12th attempt? What drastically has changed? Somebody would like to give the interpretation saying he must have been a borderline case. But if he was a borderline case, logically, it can be expected that he would have been recommended at least once or twice earlier. But let's see what AP himself has to say. Actually, during the course, he has received a lot of new concepts. Well, he has been following me on the YouTube channel and he found a lot of my videos explaining the theoretical principles well and convincing. He learned how to craft the responses in the guidance program, but once I was evaluating his dossier after the course, of course, then I found that the old thoughts, they were so firm in his mind that, well, initially I thought it was just going to be the continuation of the same performance with the same result. However, a little bit of conversation between us during the dossier evaluation cum personal counseling session had made many things articulate what all he felt was necessary under the influence of those people who have been his mentors earlier, and a lot of self-help group, the members. He was clinging to the ideas given by those people, but when we evaluated and when I told how harmful those ideas were, then it was a little shocking for him. Occasionally, I have to say something firmly, and at times I have to raise my voice in the, most uncertain terms as well, serving him as warning that, well, if you continued the same way, don't expect any favorable results. Yes, this has worked and this has worked well. And this, I'm not saying. Let us hear, let us see the conversation, what he communicated to me and what he admitted rather candidly. Young friends, look at your screen, and here you will find the conversation, the screenshot of the conversation on WhatsApp between me and AP. AP says, "Good evening, sir. AP this side. I've been recommended in my 12th and last CDS-INA attempt on 24th July 25. Thank you so much for your guidance throughout. It really gave me clarity regarding the approach in psych test." Further, he says, "Those hard and clear direct words helped me to do what I did. And lastly, for me, you were not fighting a lost battle, sir. Thank you again, sir. Jai Hind." And subsequently, it was only incumbent on my part to congratulate him. And really, it gave me an immense satisfaction, young friends, that the person has taken the words in his stride and he has shown the willingness to transform himself, willingness to shun the old ideas that were blocking his recommendation. He not only absorbed but assimilated those things. Yes, I would say it was a little difficult for him initially. There were barriers, there was information clutter, there was, must I say, something called as the information hangover. It was preventing him to absorb my instructions, but subsequently he absorbed them and he subsequently produced them to articulate his personality. Young friends, well, what makes my instructions different? They are pretty long for 14 hours. I'll be discussing in this video those features of my guidance program and the dossier evaluation that increase your chances for success at the SSBs. However, it is important that you must know that my next guidance program, as a reminder, I'm sharing with you, is going to start on 4th of August and it will conclude on 12th of August. In the month of August, I have planned only one batch. However, as far as your dossier evaluation come counseling session is concerned, that will continue without having any kind of embargo of time. You can demand it as per your convenience. Well, friends, now this is a time for us to understand what has made the difference. Young friends, in my videos, there are more than 100 as of now. I have explained you the theoretical principles of psychological tests and SSB as a system. Young friends, what is missing there? I'll explain. It will feature in this video that I have not covered how to craft your responses, and that is why one might find my videos more academic in nature, more motivational, with a little lesser practical value. I'll explain in this video what exactly you are going to get in my guidance program and in the dossier assessment. A little request, a caution, this video could be slightly longer than expected. Please bear with me. Watch the video till end. Young friends, before I come to the contents and the qualitative peculiarities of my guidance program, let me share some mundane aspects of it. That is, what are some very, very broad features? First of all, remember that I do not have anything like offline guidance sessions. I always give only and only online guidance, and it is on Zoom platform. The total duration of my guidance program is for 14 hours. Dossier evaluation session will be lasting for about 2 hours, in which all your responses will be discussed threadbare. The timings are to accommodate the people who are working. So evening 6:30 to 8:30, these are generally the timings. However, in case there is some need to accommodate or readjust the timings depending on the convenience of the participants, it also could be done. I'm a little flexible. Generally, I do not take classes on the weekends, that is Saturday and Sunday. However, again, I am open to some change and flexibility is there. My methodology, friends, is explanation and conceptual clarity. Please remember that in psychology, which is a behavioral science, all you need is to understand it in entirety. If I'm expecting a particular behavior in a situation, you must therefore understand what is the total requirement of the situation. And remember, the borrowed ideas, somebody gives you the idea, works only in a limited way. The armed forces, the SSBs, they are looking for your original responses, and so I do a trigger to your originality in my guidance programs. Friends, now coming to certain aspects which are a little peculiar to, or you may say these are the special features of my guidance program. Young friends, there are a lot of reasons for the special content which I provide to you in my guidance programs. Remember, I've been a psychologist in 2 of the Air Force selection boards, besides participating in a number of projects in collaboration with the DIPR. Also, my parent branch in the IAF was education, and I was for a very long time involved in the training and education of the cadets, the Sainik School cadets, airmen, and a number of other people who approached me personally seeking my guidance as to how to go about their preparations for joining. Anyway, needless to say further that I'm a postgraduate in psychology. So my qualification in the academic field of psychology and experience as a psychologist and a trainer educator has led me finalize certain types of contents, and also there are certain observations. These are the observations are, friends, majority of the candidates, they don't lack the talents, cognitive skills, and overall merit. But despite this, a sad aspect is that the majority of the candidates, they are not recommended. The recommendation rate is rather poor, just 2 to 7%. There are occasional washouts also. Entire batches sent home with a good luck for the future. Friends, what is the reason for this poor results, poor success rate in the SSBs? In my first line of this slide, I have admitted that they do not lack the talent or the merit. They are intelligent people. Majority I'm talking about. But this majority is unable to convince the selection boards, particularly to the psychologist, about their talent or the merit. But why? First, that they are following an inappropriate strategy for preparations. And the next thing is, that is bigger reason than this, is how to present their responses. And this is where you find The candidate is suffering from information clutter. There are multiple sources. There are multiple academies. There are multiple mentors. Many of them, they give informations which are in contrast with each other. Sometimes they support each other, but despite following their instructions, the result has not improved at all. Let me add an example regarding the preparation strategy. I don't know who is this gentleman or who is this person who has been instrumental in sharing the TAT pictures in public. Some people thought that, well, having an access to these pictures in advance will increase their prospects of success, especially in the psych technique. These pictures are there in the public zone for the last about a year or so at least. This is according to my information. But has it really increased the rate of success at all? No, sir. It has not increased even a bit. So, presuming that availability of the material beforehand is going to really help you has proven to be merely a misnomer. And I'm very, very sure and I'm very firm in my conviction that despite having merit, despite having access to some of the testing material in advance, you have not learned to present yourself the way your personality should have been articulated in your responses. And there is a reason for that. The reason is, again, something which is unpalatable, very difficult to digest. That is the cadre of officers that is so much important for the country, for the nation, for the society, for the individual, for the family of the individual. Despite this, none of the agencies like the services headquarters, for that matter, the DIPR, the selection boards, nobody has cared to issue any official document to help the candidates prepare in a nice way. Nice when I say that in an effective way. What should be the effective strategy for preparation has not been advised by any of the agencies. And today, in the world of information boom, everyone wants to have clarity beforehand. And that is why you start searching for various people, various mentors, academies, coaching academies to give you clarity. See, as long as the clarity is there with respect to what happens there, it's fine. Let's say somebody tells you that there will be a psychological test in which you'll be having a picture story writing test, a word association test, and an SRT. As long as you are getting the structure of the test that, okay, 3 minutes of pictures, 4 minutes of writing the story, 15 seconds each for writing your responses in WAT, and there are 60 situations to be responded to in 30 minutes of time. This will be in the text form, and you will be given a time and a space discipline. As long as this structure is given, still it is fine, much more fine, because this type of information does not snatch away the individuality of the candidates. What happens, which is much more detrimental to the prospects of the candidates, is when they start asking for the contents to be presented from the instructors. Sorry. Friends, there are multiple sources for SSB training, coaching. And in that, it really gives me a pain to observe that the psych technique is especially vulnerable because almost every type of a person tries his hand as an advisor, as a mentor, as a guide, as a coach in the psych technique. Yes, there are people who are experts in different techniques. Let's say somebody is a GTO, somebody is an IO. And if one such a person starts giving the tips about the psych technique, then you can understand what will be the consequence. And let me tell you, there are so many of such people who are qualified in different technique, yet they try their hands in the psych technique. And in the psych technique also, friends, let me tell you, there is something which is unpleasant fact. You'll find there are people with the prefix of the ranks of, seen the ranks of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and they say that they are DIPR certified psychologists or DIPR trained psychologists. Friends, it will be a matter of shock for you if I say that the DIPR does not train anybody to become a psychologist. DIPR makes at the most an assessor. Because this is a fact that to become a psychologist for a service officer in the selection board, the academic qualification in psychology is not mandated. It is for the administrative reason and convenience. A person with the prefix of maybe group captain, wing commander, colonel, brigadier, commander, captain of Navy is picked up, and then since the person has to lead a team of civilian psychologists, then he is given something which is in their job profile, that is to administer the tests and to evaluate the responses. Remember, the DIPR trains you only for this much. I repeat, DIPR trains any person to administer the test and evaluate the responses. It is like an umpire. Like an umpire in any game, that person declares a particular ball or no ball, white ball. I'm not questioning the ability of the umpire or acumen of the umpire to, to judge a ball, but how to pitch a ball. There you need somebody who understands the mechanism of behavior. This is where there is the need of psychologist. That means a person who has had at least some level of academic qualification in the psychology as a subject. Another thing is, though there are multiple mentors, there are multiple coaching academies, but there is at least something in common in their instructions. First, they declare that the SSBs are the test of a set of qualities, that is the OLQs. They are over obsessed with the positivity. They stress on hard work. They give the model stories, model responses. Friends, remember that the OLQs are not for you. OLQs are meant for the discussion among the assessors during the conference. Evaluate them, all right, because we need a common terms for evaluation. And since the three techniques, they take into account the different dimensions of behavior. So on which parameter they are going to discuss the performance or the employability qualities of the candidates. And that is why there is OLQs. If at all you are going to take OLQs seriously, do take them for your own growth. But OLQs are the cluster of many raw psychological faculties. For example, the first factor, planning and organization. This factor is having the first quality as effective intelligence. Now, what is effective intelligence? Effective intelligence is, as explained academically, your ability to deal with the problems of day-to-day life. That means the core ability is the problem-solving ability. Now, this problem-solving ability, if you ask any psychologist, consists of many things. For example, the perception of the problem, evaluation, analysis. So the raw faculties are analysis and evaluation combined with your imagination to bring out the solution. Effective intelligence is not something which is a faculty by itself. So you need a person who understands this and he can bring your attention towards these faculties rather than giving you some tips without going into the details. Mentors and the coaching academies. And I'm aghast, I'm appalled to know that there are many candidates. They say that they have been successful and they started coaching the people in SSB techniques. And since they declare themselves as the successful candidates, you blindly follow them. Friends, if a person has been successful, remember, he doesn't become qualified in training and teaching you, especially in the psych technique. There are people who say that I have done only 30 SRTs and I'm yet recommended. So he starts giving you the tip that important is the quality of response and not the quantity. Whereas the psychologist in his instructions includes that attempt maximum or, all of them. So you are given by these non-experts or self-styled experts something which is against the instruction by the psychologist. Now the question is, why in that case a person got recommended? First of all, I don't really trust those people. Many of them, they might be recommended, might not be recommended. But here I would like to say that mere recommendation does not mean that the psychologist has also recommended that person. Remember that it is the collective wisdom of the conference and the decision of the president that makes a person recommended. Never know, the person must have been a borderliner by the psychologist. So if you go to any expert, what is your target? To perform your maximum and get clear recommendation or to remain up to that level only? So there are many, many unpalatable facts about the preparation strategy by the various people. And friends, these tips are making your mind totally rigid. Now, what you are going to get in my guidance program? First of all, please, my insistence, the large part of my insistence is to save you from the advertised or the marketed opinions about the SSBs, particularly about the psychological technique. A couple of minutes back, I have told you, OLQs are not for you. Somebody making you overconscious of the OLQ is merely creating a barrier in your mind, is making you conscious of certain things which will definitely hamper your spontaneity to give the responses. At the most, you can take them, as I've told you earlier also, you can take them for your own growth. Any person who is giving you a tip or maybe a prescription about the story or a content, you people ask, let me tell you, the candidates. I've also worked for some time for some academies, and people, they ask me very clearly, sir, please tell me what to write in this story. Now, if you are asking, saying that, well, my mind is blank, so in order to satisfy your curiosity or maybe your anxiety, the instructor might give you one story or a sentence or maybe a reaction in the situation reaction test, SRT. That reaction, that sentence, or that idea for the story might not be well integrated with your personality. Then what will happen in your subsequent responses? The conflict will come. And external agencies' ideas or tips can never be well assimilated, well, you may say, integrated with your own response system, with your own personality, because all of us are very unique. Psychology is all about the individual differences, which way you are unique in comparison to many people. And also remember, friends, that an instructor has given the idea to satisfy you momentarily, but he has been satisfying so many students, batches after batches. Okay. And what happens as the result? The same candidate goes to Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard boards, multiple appearances with the same ideas, same stories. Psychologist table is, as of now, friends, is already stacked with these repeated and recycled ideas. Please remember, we are looking for your originality. If you are a follower, then you are not original. If you are not original, definitely you will not assure the psychologist that you are a leader who can lead the troops in combat successful. I believe that, well, the finest of the approach, if the time, opportunity permits, mentor and mentee must combine, in which you take the first step as per the instructions given by the psychologist. According to the nature of the test, you have to take the first step. You create, the mentor comments. This is the ideal approach. I know it is not possible because of the time constraint, but at the same time, you have to take the first step. You have to create the response is definitely non-negotiable. Please do not entrust this responsibility to the mentor. And I explain in my guidance program with the logic. In my guidance program, friends, I will be giving you the parameters. Create you will. For example, if I say that a TAT story is a desirable TAT story is the one in which a challenging task has been achieved by the hero by planning, organizing, strategy. Now the question is, what is the level of the task? Is it challenging? Now I will be giving you an understanding about the challenges. It is you who is going to absorb, assimilate it, and then accordingly choose a task which is challenging. It is not the job of the instructor to give you a task. He will say that the task has to be challenging. Use your wisdom. I do not believe in hard work, especially in the SSB Psych training, because realization and conceptual clarity will stimulate you to produce a response. Friends, remember, hard work is effective only where the learning content is something psychomotor. For example, if you're learning how to drive a four-wheeler, if you are learning how to play on a musical instrument, the more you practice, the more perfect you will be. Your mistakes will be reduced in the subsequent, attempts. But remember, in the cognitive operations, this type of an approach that the practice is going to make you perfect, no. It will reduce your reaction time a little. Practice has got only this much of effect in cognitive operations. I often give an example that if somebody tells you, a mentor, a guru, a senior person, he tells you that, well, you have to speak truth. Do you require any practice to speak truth? No. You require to understand the value of speaking truth, and there should be a motivation. That's all. These are the two things which always will prompt you to choose a truth, a piece of truth in any situation. All you need is the conceptual clarity, therefore. Remember, friends, what I'll be giving you is with respect to the requirement of the organization. In that, I'll connect you to the objectives of the armed forces, that is the threat management, and SSBs are going to examine those qualities that are making you employable in the armed forces. According to the assumptions of the SSBs, you are going to be a leader of your troops in combat, and you are going to be a manager and administrator in the peacetime. Now, while we are leading the troops in the combat, and while we are doing the managerial functions, remember there are multiple psychological faculties. Your attention will be brought to those faculties which will help you prove yourself a better leader, effective leader in the combat, and a good manager in the peacetime. We need to therefore examine you thoroughly, what you are in terms of your needs. Needs means psychological structure. What is your value system? What is your integrity? What are your choices? What are your reactions? And remember that the armed forces, they are always operating in group and not individually. No man is one-man army. So friends, how effective you are in a group, how well integrated you are with the group, how well connected you are with the team members is definitely a quality to be scanned. Now, friends, how all this is going to, help you? Remember, most of these things have been much elaborately covered in my other videos. What is badly missing there is that these things are basically to convince you that you have to follow a new approach. You should not follow something which is inappropriate, not logical, not theoretically compatible. In my videos, I'm very honestly admitting it that I have not covered how to craft your responses. In my guidance program, yes, I do. With all the theoretical principles explained, now how to craft your responses is the primary focus of, therefore, guidance programs. You may take the course as a supplement or maybe an addendum to my videos. And before friends, today I'm signing off. I would like to remind you that the next course is starting on 4th of August. It will conclude on 12th. Only one batch is planned in the month of August. However, the dossier evaluation counseling will continue as per your convenience and as per your demand. The registration is open, and friends, you can contact me on the number and the Telegram handle displayed here. For registration, use this QR code, transfer rupees 500 and intimate me through a screenshot. Young friends, appreciate your patience. I'm sure, and as I have warned you earlier that the video could be a little longer, appreciate your patience once again for being with me in this video. Have a nice day. God bless you. And those people, before I finally depart, those people who are new to this channel, I request you to please go through the various videos over here on psych technique, on certain misnomers, on certain interviews. You will certainly find quite an authentic knowledge, well explained. There are some videos which are the recordings of my classes also. Go through them. They will help you definitely. Thank you. God bless you.